Ukraine's leader Zelenskyy has drawn up a peace plan to end the war in Ukraine, and it could actually work. Okay, bear with me. At the start of this peace plan, he wants to use long-range missiles on Russia. Whoa, steady on there. How does that work? You want to bring peace by escalating war? Who do you think you are? America? But Zelenskyy has said what matters is where those long-range missiles hit. And he's not talking about Moscow or civilian infrastructure. No, he's talking about supply lines. Zelenskyy has suggested that the reach of the Storm Shadow missiles puts Ukraine in reach of Russia's weapon factories and supply lines, where weapons and fuel are transferred from Russia to Russian troops in Ukraine. What if we disrupt those Russian troop supply lines, says Zelenskyy? By cutting Russian troops off from guns, ammunition, fuel and dinner, the front line will be unsustainable. Ukraine would then try and use 14 brigades trained by NATO countries to push the remaining hungry Russians out of Ukraine. Or, in official talk, Ukraine would mount ground offensives in an attempt to regain the initiative on the battlefield. The US President Joe Biden has expressed some level of interest in this plan. Sources say that he could loosen restrictions on letting Ukraine use long-range missiles on Russian territory if Ukraine provides a coherent strategy in terms of how the missiles would be used. But Joe Biden is still worried about Russian retaliation. In particular, he's worried that by giving ammunition to Russia's rivals, Russia might arm America's rivals. In particular, giving more weapons to Iran, who could then strike Israel. And in terms of nuclear strike, yes, the Russian government is still talking about that in terms of retaliation. They have redrawn some red lines, but there's only a few in the US administration that are still actively concerned about that. Many just don't believe him anymore. And earlier in September, Russian TV did air a mock simulation of what a nuclear strike on London would be like. Spoiler, it was not pretty. According to a source in The Telegraph, Ukraine's plan would only get the green light if it could secure sufficient pledges to equip the 14 planned brigades that would be used in tandem with long-range strikes to turn the tide of the war. That might be tricky, as other sources within Ukraine suggest that Ukraine don't have the 14 brigades they need. In fact, some are saying they have less than half. For now, Ukraine has more convincing to do. It's a good thing their leader has been described by Donald Trump as the greatest salesman of all time, so maybe there's hope. Ukraine has Storm Shadow missiles, but Joe Biden's administration has a veto on them and says you can't use them on Russian territory. You can only use them in Ukraine to defend against the Russian troops there. But Zelenskyy is still hopeful. He has said that Joe Biden often changes his mind. America had initially said no to jets being given to Ukraine. They had said no to weapons being given to Ukraine. They had said no to pretty much any help at the start of the invasion. But that does change. Zelenskyy has said that America's past decisions have changed, and so this could change too. And if Joe Biden does give it the green light, we will need to wait and see if Zelensky's peace plan can really bring peace.